OK, let's move on to the next match now. Liverpool against Brighton. We'll hear from the new Brighton boss, Roberto De Zerbi. But first, Jurgen Klopp.
Usually when a manager, when there's a manager change, then it's the old manager got sacked. That means something didn't go well. But Brighton did extremely well before. And now they have a really exciting new manager. Brighton is doing an incredible job. And he did an incredible job at Sassuolo and Shakhtar. His football idea suits Brighton, which is a football-playing team. But we don't know what we expect, obviously. How much is old Brighton? How much is new Brighton? The only thing what we know is a really good team.
I believe in my player. Liverpool is one of the best team in Premier League, but in Europe, in the world, and we know the difficult. But I trust in my player to play a good game, and after we look the result.
Well, we have a brand new manager in the Premier League, Roberto De Zerbi, the Italian. A bit of a baptism of fire of him, though, in his first match, facing none other than Liverpool at Anfield. What do you expect to see from this new era at Brighton?
I expect to see Liverpool to get a tough game, you know. He's a good coach. He's 43, used to manage Shakhtar. He had a couple of offers in the summer, one of which was from Bologna to go and coach there. He decided he didn't want to do it. He wanted the Premier League. Took a month of intensive training to learn English so that he could equip himself as well as he could for the Premier League. And I think it's a good kind of fusion between him, who's a guy who's got a good record of improving players. He had one or two players in the Italy Euro 2020 championship winning side. Say that with a mouthful. And he'd improved them good enough to be able to get there. And now I think he'll give them the confidence to go to Liverpool and play well. They had a good run at Liverpool last season. You wouldn't record that. And I think we'll see in this game which of the players wants to be part of his plans, who's going to shirk the challenge and who's going to really rise to it and say, look, I don't care about the opposition, I want to play for you.
He's a highly rated manager, comes with a lot of pedigree, linked with the Juventus job fairly recently as well. And from everything that everyone's been saying about this manager, who a lot of us don't know a great deal about, is he likes to actually play in a very similar way to Graham Potter. And he was the first choice that Brighton wanted to speak to, the only manager they spoke to once Graham Potter departed. So actually, does he almost just pick up where things were left off with Graham Potter in a very similar style?
I think so, because Graham Potter's left the club in a fantastic way, and I don't think it was a matter of if Graham Potter was going to leave eventually. I think all Brighton fans knew that he was going to leave. It was a matter of when, wasn't it? It didn't know which club he was going to go to. But, you know, I think a lot of players have stepped up this year. You know, Gross, Lallana, even like he was the manager just a second ago. They even put him in charge. So Welbeck, you know, Old Trafford this year played well, and you can see the system they play. And Brighton have lost a lot of players. Cucurella, Dan Burn, you know, Malpay. Now at Everton. So, yeah, there's been loads of players they've lost, but under Graham Potter, it didn't seem like they had been lost. It almost seemed like the other players just came in and stepped up and when they needed to. So all will be revealed, but obviously it doesn't get much more difficult than playing against Liverpool. Regardless of whether people think Liverpool have been inconsistent this year, they're still Liverpool. They have top team.
Well, what is going on with Liverpool? They've only won 2 matches this season. They can't seem to get into any kind of rhythm or flow. They've been outrun in all 6 of their Premier League matches so far this campaign. That's not the Liverpool we all know, though, is it?
No, and I wonder if the international break has come at the right time for them. I know with United it came at the wrong time, but that run of form there was so poor from a Liverpool side. We expected so much from at the start of this season, given their work in a transfer market. I think they were affected by the loss of Nunes, whose moment of madness in the Palace game cost him big time. I think they showed too much respect to United. They've been hit massively by injuries, particularly in their midfield. They didn't have Jota up front, although he is back fit, scored in the international break for Portugal. I think they'll be in different shape this time around, much better. I think that break has allowed them to get players back, and I think they'll be stronger.
Salah's not really scoring. as much as he did last year as well. And obviously we can talk about their injuries, but I think playing Milner in the middle of the park against Manchester United, you know, Milner, what a fantastic professional he is, but I just think he's going to get overran. It doesn't matter how fit you are in the middle of the park. Jordan Henderson's had a lot of injuries this year, but they still have Luis Diaz. You know, Mane, for me, I've said it many, many times, the fact that he's gone to Bayern Munich and he just kind of went in the blink of an eye was quite confusing to me, because I think we're seeing how much of an impact he had on that team. I don't think Van Dijk has been at his best. I think he's even said that himself, but he's a top player. So I think if all these players can find their form again, and Klopp doesn't really change his 11, but Harvey Elliott's been good this year. I've been impressed with him this year.
And Carvalho.
Yep. Definitely, great addition.
Are there any fears that Liverpool will drop out of the top four this season, or do you expect them to turn things around?
I expect him to turn things around.
Yeah.
I think the mentality at the club reflects the leadership. He's very driven. Yes, in that final season at Dortmund, things didn't go well because of the intensity of the previous seasons. But I just think that the players are too good. I think they'll take action in the January transfer window if the injury situation does continue. But I think they've got the firepower up front to blow most teams away. Van Dijk has been better in this international break than he has been before, and Trent Alexander-Arnold has a point to prove. I think we'll see a better Liverpool in the next few weeks.